Ah, the French champagne.
And then I was like, just like thinking about how much everyone is sexualized as like teenagers. And I was like, this is why the internet is full of people who think that Hollywood is like full of pedophiles. Like that this movie is like, look at, and then
the bikini.
Look at the bikini. And then she like shows her tits at the end to a crowd of people to prove. And then her brother showed her dick really like confidently. I have to say, like really nonchalantly, like pulled down his pants. He didn't just trace trace it with his shorts. He like fully.
He was proud though. Like that was made clear by the dad.
Oh,
He's like, "That's my son."
That's
Clearly,
my
he has a
boy.
big schlong.
I think it also would have been weirder if he had traced his dong with in his shorts instead of just taking it out.
I mean,
finger.
pressing his pants on either side.
I know what
not
you
like
meant.
Not like taking a piece of wax paper and a crayon, and like.
They would have been like,
A piece of wax paper and a crayon.
they probably would have said like, you could be stuffing because that could have been a sock. There's no way to know.
Yeah, the writers were in the room
what?
and
I
they
guess
said,
you're
"Look, we need him to show that he identifies as a male and that he has male genitalia. So how do we do that? Well, how about we have him trace his penis through his shorts?" And they're like, "No, that leaves too much confusion about whether he's stuffing or not. Okay, we'll have to have him show his dick."
Okay, but I also feel like, from a female perspective, he showed his dick, and then it kind of like it was commentary on like he can show his dick, I can show my tits. Like, why is it okay for him to, you know what I mean? I was like, whoa, cool, look at his schlong. And when she did that, I honestly had the question in my head. I'm like, fuck. I was like, oh shit. And then I was like, would I have the guts to do that and just like stand there with my tit? I don't know. I don't think so. And I kind of was like, that sucks. I should be that confident.
And I agree. If anything, that moment desexualized Amanda Bynes. That was your point, right? Sorry.
Yes. I was saying that it was like making a level playing field. He can show his junk, she can show hers.
And it totally is. Puts it more on a level playing field that there were both male and female sexual areas shown. Both bathing suit areas were revealed. They are in high school.
So
Yes.
our
Those
dogs
are
are
the teachers and the
Sorry,
parents,
guys.
everyone around them. And they were forced to do that by the teachers.
Yeah.
It's this movie is almost every kind of problematic.
But that was
it's unbelievable.
I agree. I was going to say a bigger issue I had with that moment. What's happening?
My reactions, I think,
Sean's
Jeff's
like,
commenting, where I'm like,
it's like a little head bobble.
No,
like,
but I agree. A bigger issue I had with that
each their
moment
own.
was the fact that the headmaster, based on just like the hearsay of two angry students, storms the field and essentially puts his kid in a situation where he has to expose himself to a crowd full of people.
yeah, it's sloppy writing. Let's like, yeah.
Or is it
it's
just the
fucking
idiot?
stupid.
But it's also they already made it very clear that the headmaster's a moron, a sweet meaning moron. So of course he's gonna march out with a loudspeaker and not think about it. He also finds the kid wearing a wig and thinks he's going bald.
Well,
You know what I
funny.
mean? Like it's
That was
Pretty funny,
pretty
I
Yeah,
was
the
just gonna say.
wig's
That was
kind of.
pretty
I like David Cross for the most
Yeah.
part in this movie. I thought the megaphone was fucking stupid.
Really, I loved it.
when he turns and like right in front of
Lays
could you
into the- lays
please
into him?
enlighten
Yeah.
us?
The announcing it to the crowd, I thought this made no fucking sense, and I didn't like the concept. I just thought it was just super dumb. And you're asking me about like what other parts of this movie that I found annoying. Like a part of this movie that should have been a home run was the fair, the festival sequence where they've set it up that Amanda Bynes has to be both herself and her brother to different people at the fair. That should have been a knockout in this kind of movie. That's
It's a fizzle.
and it's the worst sequence in the movie probably. It's terrible. She changes for nonsensical reasons and does nonsensical things, and it's literally never satisfying. I think it's abysmal. I'm gonna be the person who's like, this movie fucking
I
sucks.
find it so fascinating that you loathe this film so much. It's just silly, stupid fluff. Like,
I
But it's
find it
badly
hard to
done.
hate. You can't hate
yeah,
it.
everyone's
I
got
think-
so much charm. Everyone's barreling into things. I loved it.
But I would agree with Jack that the carnival fair, I expected more. Like the craftsmanship on that could have been so much smarter. You know, there was only the one where she ends up tagging out Viola.
yeah,
at
she
the
changes for
kissing
some
booth.
reason.
Yeah,
She changes,
the kissing booth was good. The
Yeah.
rest of it didn't make any sense. Like, hi, Mom. Then she leaves. That makes sense. And then it doesn't make sense again until the kissing booth thing. And then it doesn't. Yeah.
She's Sebastian for like she hops into something to change into Sebastian clothes, but then hops out for 1 second, sees real Sebastian's girlfriend, and then changes back into her normal Viola clothes
in a bouncy castle, and she
bouncy
doesn't lose
with
her
small children.
She doesn't lose her sideburns in the bouncy castle, but she loses them sitting beside a kid on a bench.
Yeah. Hey, that's just the way the sideburn crumbles. Okay.
I think he has a point. Jack. That one is well taken.
It's a horribly dumb scene. My main issue, my main overall gripe, and I know I speak for Miranda on this as well. Just the general portrayal of kind of what would be considered male and female, let's say, stereotypes in this movie are like atrocious, and like I found them like grotesque.
This movie holds up the mirror to society, Jack. It forces us.
Fucking what? Great. Thank you, Dan. You know what? Wasn't it Shakespeare that said, "Yeah, bro, do you see the ass on her?"
Yes, it was clearly written by someone who never socialized with other people. When it comes to those one-on-one interactions between men and women in this film, there's a certain amount of like, but again, like I'm not expecting great things from this film going into it. I'm expecting pretty much exactly what they lay down.
It's called She's the Man.
Yeah,
it has Channing Tatum, who's really good
in like his first role.
Eye candy. He's so sweet, actually. He's so sweet. Like I kind of fell in love with him.
I have a bit of a man crush on Channing Tatum as well after that movie.
Tater Tots is fine in this movie.
You shut your whore mouth, Jack. He is better than fine in this movie.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that later.
Sorry.
Come on, quit jumping around.
I get really defensive.
His new boyfriend means a lot to him.
Sorry.
So it just look. I was expecting this movie to be better, and especially because I've heard lots of good things about this movie. I definitely had a bit. Not that I had like my expectations way built up about it, but just how much it like of the movie of its almost 2-hour runtime. Like I was expecting a better plot line where like Amanda Bynes is just like she's just like a kind of androgynous man that connects with people, not because she's like a buffoon. Like I don't buy it. Also, it's a whole other issue. But like
it's got to be broad, right? It's got to be a broad movie because it is. I'm gonna slightly disagree with the tween categorization. I think this is meant for people who are supposed to be the same age as the characters are in the film. I think that it's made for like high school, particularly high school girls. And particularly for like fans of Amanda Bynes, who by this point had a pretty successful TV career going and was in other films. Where was I going with this?
That you're saying that it's broad for the audience.
It's got to be broad because you're trying to do Shakespeare for people who hate Shakespeare. And by and large, the people I know who saw this movie when it came out were like, suddenly interested, probably not long term, but suddenly interested in the source material, which is a lot more than any of the English teachers I had could do.
And I think when you go back into all of these, like this was this mid? I should know this.
2006.
Which one?
2006.
So it's still earlier in the whole feminist movement. We still weren't really talking about.
Well, I guess the fourth wave, hadn't even started.
Like, obviously later than our first movie, but the second movie, I don't know, people weren't like running to see movies about feminism or that like made it okay for girls to play. So I feel like they were still, walking safely in this area. And if she just made it really like.
We're still on the tail end of American Pie is having their spin-offs that are still really successful because people really like that. We have Eurotrip spin-offs and stuff like that. So we're still firmly entrenched in that kind of like high school, university, frat humor and behavior, and I think this one treads around the like dangerous stuff a lot better than like American Pie ever did, or
Oh, sure.
yeah,
Because even Duke's character says, "Oh, I don't think you should speak that way about a woman."
yeah.
And I was like,
he's
"Oh,
so sweet.
Like it was just like one little, a little peppering of like awareness of the fact that she's doing this ridiculously aggressive male imitation.
Yeah,
Yeah, the misconception on her part as well, that like she was misconception of what men really thought and like, and he was like, no.
Yeah.
But they
Yeah.
also do that, and
They
the
do that,
guys
yeah.
also do that. Like
Yeah.
it's the movie kind of wants to have a cake. It wants to have its cake and eat it too. It wants to tell this story about, men can be more sensitive to and to see people for who they are and not just like date the hot girl or whatever. And yet it wants you to idealize the hot girl, and the guys are still bros.
yeah.
At the
There's
end of
no
the day.
ugly people in this. Even
Yeah.
what's her name?
Eunice?
Eunice.
Even Eunice is like still kind of a pretty girl behind the headgear,
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. So like it's just I don't buy it. I just think it stinks of the Hollywood thing of you're kind of saying, Sean, it's kind of more proving my point, is that it's
I love when people use that. Well, you're just proving my point.
kind of, well, a little bit. You're like, it's a bit better than American Pie while living in that world. That's a shitty world to live in. It still wants to be like an American Pie movie, but trying to own something that's more female forward, but it's in an American Pie-esque world. And
Sure.
that's the thing. And it comes off as kind of, anyway, just kind of gross. I don't have to keep going on about this. I've clearly made my stance clear.
Yeah,
So
we love it. We know.
I'll stop.
Yep. You love it too much.
The Citizen Kane of the week is